welcome again to another one of Shodredux's Battlefield Play4Free video commentary. If you haven't checked out the game yet, go to battlefield.play4free.com.
Thank you very much, M, for that video intro there. I really enjoyed it because I think M is probably the cutest kid in the world. And if you guys have never met him or ever talked to him in real life or in virtual life, you need to, because he's really awesome and he's cute. So you guys definitely need to meet him, especially you ladies. Okay, but back to the video at hand here. I am actually going to be using the C4, and it's going to be without any boosters. But before I get into the various aspects of this new Tier 3 addition to the Assault class, the person that actually suggested this video, their name is Mr. Mranyaro. So thank you very much, Any, for the video suggestion, and I hope you enjoy it, as well as you many others out there. Even though I already gave it away, I'll be using the C4 without any boosters. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I think you should. Personally, I think the C4 makes a absolutely great addition to the Assault class. Personally, I'm kind of used to the C4 being, attributed to the Recon class or Sniper class of individuals throughout the Battlefield series since 2142 at least. But this does make for a nice, fair, and very welcoming change-up and addition to the Assault class. The C4 has a lot of positive things going for it, even if you use it without the booster. Once you have all your training points set for the C4, you'll be able to carry up to 6 of them at a time. Also, another fantastic thing about the C4 is if you do run out of them, since this is an Assault class Tier 3 edition, you can replenish your C4 with your ammo, and very quickly, I might add. The C4 allows for varied gameplay for the Assault class. One of the most common being, that a lot of you have probably seen already, is what's called jihading. Essentially, you strap all your C4 to the front of a fast attack vehicle or buggy and go ahead and crash into an enemy vehicle or a large group of infantry and detonate your C4 to increase your KD ratio, so to speak. The nice thing about the C4 is, unlike the mines and the claymores that go off near enemy vicinities, whether it be for vehicles or infantry alike, the C4 is actually manually controlled, which means you actually detonate it yourself when you want to, once you lay out your placements for them. Of course, when you switch to your C4, if you hit the left mouse click, it actually throws the C4 out, and the right mouse click is a toggle between the C4 and the detonator switch. So if you have all your C4 laid out, or some of it laid out, and you need to detonate it really quickly, you have to first throw out 1, 2, 4, however many C4s you're throwing out, press the right mouse click button to switch to your detonator, and then press the left click in order to detonate the C4. So keep that in mind when you're using it. I know it just seems like it's something that should be fairly simple, but I know in other Battlefield games, it was actually a lot easier to do that, because all you really had to do was hit the right mouse click in order to detonate your C4, instead of toggling between the detonator and the C4 itself. So it's actually one more animation just to switch and detonate your C4. Another way that the C4 can be used in Battlefield Play4Free is you can set up some really good defensive booby traps or offensive booby traps for vehicles and infantry alike. Whether you're at an extremely close distance to see all the explosion action happen, or at a far distance to keep an eye on a capture point at range. Just make sure you have a good field of view and a good idea of your layout of all your C4. Now, the C4 can be used in various tactful ways with any of the vehicles as well. It's also a good anti-measure for people stealing your vehicle in case you have to bail out of it for one reason or another. And you don't want the enemy to capture your vehicle. It's always good to have the C4 strapped to your, whatever machinery you're in or using. One of the other good things about the C4 is it does kill enemy infantry in one hit if they are close enough to it, so it really doesn't suffer any from having less damage or anything like that and not being able to kill somebody in one hit with it. However, without the booster, it does take a good amount of C4 to take out enemy vehicles. With APCs, it takes 2 C4s to be able to take it out effectively, and with tanks, it does take 3, sometimes 4. So, depending on your placement of the C4, of course, on the enemy vehicle. Which leads me to my next point that I would like to, address, is that depending on your placement of the C4 is how much damage it does to the enemy vehicle as well. So if you're wanting to do additional damage, you want to know those sweet spots of the enemy vehicles as well in order to, lessen your C4 usage. So get familiar with that as well. The amount of C4 it takes to take out a enemy helicopter, if you're going against an attack chopper or have the chance to do it, it takes about 2 to 3, depending on the spot you put it on yet again. And if you're trying to take out any small, fast attack vehicles, it generally takes 1 C4 to take them out. The good thing about C4 is you can strap it on anything and anywhere as long as you're able to get it within the throwing distance of the C4. So you can stick it to ceilings, walls, and on the ground, as well as trees, the side of buildings, unmanned vehicles, so pretty much anything. Now, some of the downsides with the C4, even though some of them are blatantly obvious, one of the big drawbacks between the C4 is that its throwing range is very limited. So you can't really toss your C4 out like you normally could in a lot of the other Battlefield games. So there's definitely a shortened range, and you have to get right up on your enemies in order to take them out with the C4. Also, the explosion radius of the C4 really isn't that high. So just keep that in mind as well when you're placing your C4. Just space them out accordingly, and just get the play of it, of how to place the C4 a little bit, so that way you know their explosion radius. Also, another thing that is a bit aggravating is the animations and the toggling between the detonator and the C4. Sometimes don't register if you do everything rather quickly. It sometimes won't register the change. And not only that, but you'll just continue throwing out C4, or you might prematurely detonate your C4 and kill yourself in the process. So yes, you can do some serious damage to yourself with the C4 if you're not careful, and you can commit suicide. So the explosion damage can harm you quite drastically. Not necessarily a big drawback to it, but one of the things that is a bit aggravating is that due to the fact that it is a tier 3 weapon, you do have to have a set amount of points in your equipment expertise. So you do have to expel a lot of training points in order to unlock the C4. But once it's unlocked, it's definitely well worth it, especially if you have the sprint ability already full, especially for your jog and your run. So it's definitely a great unlock for that. Just because I'm the type of person that likes to go through, run up on an enemy tank, and run away real quick, and be able to detonate it before it even notices what I was doing. So I'm just going to go through and recap again some of the positives with the C4. It does give you the option of varied gameplay, meaning you can use it as defensive and offensive purposes, such as being able to run up on enemy vehicles and destroying them by throwing a couple C4 on it, as well as defending capture points or setting up booby traps for cross paths between capture points. Also, the good thing about the C4 is it's something that you go through and manually detonate. It's not a automatically detonating device. So it's something that you have the option of controlling, which makes it even more fun and good for other tactics as well. To wait to, I guess, say if you have like a platoon of enemies coming your way, and you notice that there's a couple cars and a gigantic tank. Obviously, you want to take out the bigger threat, so you would go for the tank with the C4, which is nice. Other thing with the C4 is that if you have it fully maxed out, the total amount you get to carry is 6. and the replenishing of the ammo count for the C4 is really fast. As far as the cons with the C4, of course you don't get the large amount of throwing range that you do in the other previous Battlefield games. Also, it doesn't have a very big explosion radius, especially if you're trying to use it against infantry. Also, another thing with the C4 is that the toggling between the detonator switch and the C4 can be a bit buggy at times, and really aggravating if you're impatient between making your transition. Also, just a quick side note, with the C4, it actually can be shot out and it will explode if it's shot at. So just be very careful with that, especially if somebody's using a high-powered sniper rifle, even if it's just a bolt-action rifle or the Rex pistol. You can have somebody shoot at your C4 and make you commit suicide, which in turn will make you look like a big noob for doing that. Also, another interesting thing with the C4 is that if you find enemy AT mines laying on the ground and you need to dispose of them quickly, you can actually drop a C4 on top of it, detonate the C4, and totally ruin the enemy's plans with the AT mine to take out your teammates or yourself. So, due to the fact that the C4 is an explosion weapon, I guess, it kind of blows up the AT, so it makes sense. Also, the other cons with the C4 is they do tend to stick out like a sore thumb in the maps if you're trying to lay a strip line of them on the road. So just be careful with that. They stick out even more so in comparison to the 18 mines. Especially if you use all 6 of them, because people look at it and just be like, yeah, I know what's going on there. One of the things I personally like doing with the C4 so far is actually getting a tank or an APC, strapping all my C4 to it in hidden places like underneath the wheels and the tank treads and stuff, and then just bailing out of it and giving it to, essentially the enemy. And they'll just look at me like I'm crazy, like I'm a crazy person. They hop in it and I just detonate it and have a good laugh. So there's a lot of good fun and humor you can have with the C4 as well. There's just a sense of enjoyment that you get out of it like you wouldn't in comparison to some of the other weapons in Battlefield Play4Free. So essentially, if you are a good prankster and you like having the versatility of being able to managing your explosions and being able to set up your explosions the way you need them to be, the C4 is definitely the option for you. Especially since it's probably, out of all the Tier 3 updates, this is probably the most fun one to use, due to the fact of its simple versatility of being an explosive and having your explosions whenever you want them to happen. Also, I do like the fact that the C4 is set up for the assault class, because it does make it fair all around. Like I said, C4 normally in the previous Battlefield games since 2142 was actually a part of the recon class. So it's kind of a nice refreshing change to see that the assault is actually the ones that get the C4 this time around, and to do some of the devious demolition work. Alrighty, and that's all I have on the C4. If you guys like this video, of course it's always something that I enjoy doing, and if you guys have your video suggestions, just keep them coming. I will be working on some more videos here shortly, and I'd like to thank you guys for the support and the video suggestions, the intros. You guys are fantastic, and to be quite honest, I wouldn't be doing this without you guys. So thank you very much, and I hope you guys enjoy this. And oh, one more thing I wanted to mention with the C4. You don't necessarily hear the explosion of it right now, and it's actually a glitch. When you detonate your C4, you really don't hear any explosions. It just kind of happens, and you really don't see the animation very well for the explosion either. So that's just to explain what's going on in the video there. When you see some of the explosions happen, you don't hear really loud noises. But yep, that's all I got. So I'll see you guys next time, and enjoy!